what is now southern Arizona.
Three distinct lifestyles existed in the region.
The Pima were peaceful farmers,
Who irrigated the rich valley soil,
lived in settled communities, and nearly always
produced the surplus of agricultural goods.
The Papago, also peacefully inclined, inhabited the harsh desert area to the west and lived in somewhat less permanent villages
than their linguistic relatives.
The Tohono O'odham practiced dry farming and food gathering
In their vast domain,
The nomadic Apache,
relative newcomers to the area, were known for their adaptability and resilience,
they lived in easily constructed shelters,
living from the land by food gathering, hunting and raiding. These diverse lifestyles laid the foundation for Tubac's unique history.
In 1752, the Spanish established the Presidio of Tubac, a fortified settlement and one of Arizona's first European outposts.
The Presidio became a key site for missions and a hub for frontier defense and trade.
It became a crossroads of culture,
Blending indigenous traditions with Spanish influence.
The 50 soldiers who garrisoned the new post were expected to bring their families and settle in the area, establishing Tubac as the oldest European town in Arizona. Although the Pima never again revolted,
The soldiers were kept busy by the Apaches,
who had discovered that running of Spanish livestock
was a lot more rewarding than raiding Pima villages. With a population of around 400, the Presidio became for 2 decades the social and cultural center of the region.
but the distant threat to Spain's New World Empire.
Brought yet another change.
The Russians had established Fort Ross
Only 70 miles north of the Bay Area in California,
in order to force all their further advance down the west coast. The commander of Tubac, Presidio,
was commissioned to find an
overland route to the coast. In 1774, Juan Bautista Nanza
and 20 Tubac soldiers became the first persons of European descent.
to journey overland to the Pacific coast. In 1775, the Anza again made the journey, this time with 240 colonists, who founded the city of San Francisco, claiming the remaining Tubac.
Civilians could now fend for themselves. The colonial government moved the garrison north,
To Tucson,
but the Apache raids increased until Tubac was abandoned.
in 1786, the Presidio was regarrisoned, this time, ironically, with Pima soldiers under Spanish officers. Another period of prosperity followed, and the Apaches were kept relatively quiet.
with a liquor subsidy and other supplies. With increasing pressure from the Apache, Tubac began to decline. Then discovery of gold in California
Drew away enough population that they were able to overrun the town. Survivors fled to Tucson of Magdalena.
American 49ers passing through.
Described Tubac as having been recently deserted. At this time, however,
It was apparent to the US government that one of the best transcontinental railroad routes
lay through the Mexican town of Tucson. In 1854, the Gaston Purchase was consummated
giving the US a railroad route
through most of what is now Arizona.
south of the Gila River.
Yankee Enterprise entered the area in the form of the Sonora Mining and Exploring Company, with Charles Poston as superintendent, and with headquarters at the old Forcino at Tubac.
A boom followed which increased the town's population to around 1,000 inhabitants. 2 hotels and a store had now been established in the small town.
In 1859, Arizona's first newspaper was established. This was a short-lived era of prosperity,
When federal troops were withdrawn, leaving Tubac once again to the Apaches. Following the war, the town was slowly reset, and in 1885, enough people lived in the area to require.
a one-room adobe school.
But Tubac remained essentially a small,
Agrarian community with a strong Mexican personality until well into the 20th century.
Following World War II, artists and craftsmen saw the crumbling adobe ruins.
And the magnificent scenery and began to settle within.
In 1958, the old Presidio San Ignacio de Tubac site was given
to the state by Santa Cruz County
as Arizona's first state park.
Today, Tubac celebrates this history at the Tubac Presidio State Historic Park, where visitors can explore exhibits on indigenous
cultures and Spanish settlers. The Presidio recalls more than 100 years of Spanish rule
in the Santa Cruz Valley.
It also evokes a time when visiting Tubac was seen as essential to fully capturing the essence of early Arizona. As you look at the original
foundation of the Tubac Presidio, you're witnessing the very roots of Arizona's history. This foundation dates back to 1752, when Spanish soldiers built the fort, marking the start of European settlement in the area.
During its excavation, numerous artifacts were uncovered, giving us a window into daily life over 250 years ago.
In this section,
we step back in time to the heart of daily life at the Presidio.
This area served as a
multifunctional space, a working area, kitchen, and sleeping quarters all in one.
Here, soldiers and settlers
prepared meals over open flames, using traditional tools and techniques.
The modest sleeping arrangements
remind us of the rugged conditions faced by those who lived here.
It's a fascinating glimpse into the
resilience and resourcefulness of the early inhabitants, who called this historic outpost their home.
From pottery shards to tools, these remnants tell the story of the people who once called this place home, bridging the past with the present and preserving the rich heritage of this historic site.
This section showcases the rich and diverse history of Tubac,
starting with the first people who arrived in the region and the Cochise culture. On display, you will find intricately crafted hats, pottery, and tools
that speak to their daily lives and skills.
The exhibit features Apache artifacts,
including a gun, spear, pottery,
and a beautifully woven basket, each piece telling its own story of survival, artistry, and the vibrant cultures that have shaped this land.
There's also clothing from the Spanish Tubac era and the time of the revolt, capturing the spirit of those early settlers.
Here you see the children's garden, created to enrich the grounds with examples of old-time games like jump rope, marbles, and hopscotch.
Tubac schoolteachers recognized
the importance of play as a critical component of child development, just as we understand today. In 1885, Tubac's first one-room adobe schoolhouse was built by T.
Lily Mercer, becoming the heart of education for local families.
Teachers lived modest lives, often boarding with families and adhering to strict rules. Female teachers couldn't marry, and all were expected to be role models.
Discipline for students was equally strict, with misbehavior often met with a ruler across the knuckles
or standing in the corner.
Despite this, the school served as a vital space where children of all ages learned side by side, with older students helping the younger ones.
Today, this historic schoolhouse stands, offering a glimpse into the early days of Arizona education and the town's enduring commitment to learning.
As you step through the museum,
each artifact and exhibit paints a vivid picture of life in early Tubac.
From the tools they used to the stories they left behind, it's a journey through history you won't forget.
Whether you're here to explore Arizona's roots
or simply to experience the charm of this historic site,
the Tubac Presidio offers something for everyone. Discover Tubac's layered history by visiting the park or walking its historic streets,
where centuries of cultures have converged.
Thanks for joining us on this walk through history.
See you on your next adventure. Like and comment if you would like to see more videos like this.